These are old minutes from September 13th, 2007, and in the minutes, on the second page where the arrow pointing, it says, BDM Consulting Engineering is assisting with the compilation and review of invoices, billings, and services rendered during the flood disaster. BDM is also compiling a chronology of the events with supporting documentation to better assist FEMA in the determination of eligible expenses to reimburse. That's for 2007. This motion seems kind of, did we motion for something that they should have already been, should this be done already?
Well, yeah, this was September of 2007.
Mm-hmm.
The flood was in August of 2007.
Yeah.
I would venture to say 90% of the PWs were written well after this meeting. BDM was here on site during the biggest disaster.
Mm-hmm.
And around that corner there's a box that I can't even lift because it weighs 8,000 pounds, and it's got
Well, if you need a hand, give me a call.
3-ring binders full of stuff that they did put together.
Cool.
We have a lot of information that they compile.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the PWs were put together by the FEMA people that came here and walked around on site, went around to all the projects, looked at all the streets, looked at all the areas, well after this point. This is like the immediate emergency stuff with the cleanup, the pile of garbage we had, the pumping, the direct emergency stuff. There was an awful lot of paperwork that didn't get started till way into, what do you think? I mean, October, November. They were still writing the PWs in October and November. Because they were still finding things, and they still had to go out and look, at stuff. If they stayed here longer than they normally do, and they kept coming back. And so we did get this service out of BDM at the time of the flood. What we need to do now is follow up on all the work that's been done since then, and all the work we have accomplished or need to apply for or haven't yet done.
Reason that BDM wasn't involved in everything beyond that is what we need to get clarified right now.
Well, back in November, when we first started talking about this, and we talked about how both of our engineering firms have been involved in doing different projects for us. And so they both have knowledge of what has been done and what yet needs to be done. And that a lot of what we need to do now is just sort out all the paperwork, decipher FEMA's description of work, and make sure if we've done it that we've submitted the proper papers to get paid for it. If we haven't submitted the paperwork, we need to do that. Maybe we haven't even done the work yet. Maybe we're never going to do the work because we decided we don't have to. Maybe some of the PWs can't even be collected on because they were written incorrectly by the FEMA people. So there's just a lot of sorting through all that stuff. And John Stewart, so in November, you directed John Stewart to come down and take a look and see what he could do, how he would organize everything. And he talked with Otomo Engineering, and he's worked with other towns that have had FEMA audits also. And that was my concern, was that we have all the paperwork in the right order for when we do get an audit 10 years, 15 years from now, that everything's in one nice neat pile for you to find it. And John came up with a plan and a spreadsheet and a way to organize and go through. And he looked at some of the paperwork we've already done, some of the things we've already done. And so we've started kind of compiling things in a manner that will be easy to submit to FEMA to prove our case if they ever question something. And it'll also be easy for us to find, here's one where we've done the work but we haven't submitted for it yet. And we're finding those now that we're organizing, and Julianne is learning now this whole language and the whole business of how to go through all this paperwork. So she's the one that's going to be doing most of the pulling of the invoices and the searching. But unless you've worked with the projects and unless you know what's going on, it's really hard to understand what you're looking for. but she's learning very quickly, and John's teaching her, and I'm teaching her, and it's working well, and I think we can pull this all together. It's just that you have to formally, I mean, John came up with a good way to do this, but it still is gonna need, oversight to be sure that everything is in order, and to be sure we've done everything that we need to do to get the money that we've got coming to us. And that's what his proposal is, with a not-to-exceed price, and also, the more that he can teach Julianne to do, and the more familiar she gets with it, and the more she understands the whole process, she'll be able to do more and more things, and he'll just be able to look at the spreadsheet and check it off and say, good, that one's done. Because we're scanning things, you know, we're making electronic copies of everything, so getting high tech. So it's, you know, it's coming together. I mean, it's kind of a big pile of papers and a big mess, but it is starting to come together and make sense, so.